Dr. Zoha Fazel. People just call me Dr. Zoha, Dr. Z, whatever, helps you remember my name
Doc
easier.
Z is my favorite.
Okay. As I'm the author of Unlocking the Doorway to Love, but really I'm a psychologist. That is my professional background. I'm an educational psychologist and a therapist. So behavioral background, meaning I'm a board certified behavior analyst, but my truest love is in spirituality and energy work and those kinds of things, which is the foundation and the basis of my book.
So powerful. So thank you for that beautiful introduction, and thank you for bringing on your book, because with the launch of our 8-week program called Irresistible You, helping single women find that radiance, that feminine energy to be able to explore the dating world in order to attract the one. So I am honored to have your book as part of our program, and just really to help our women, the women in the program, have a full on transformation, to have the belief and the energy and the excitement to attract the one. But before that, Dr. Z, I wanted to bring you on to bring some light and awareness of when this journey starts happening. What are the self-awareness or the self-discovery that women need to go through in order to really achieve those particular goals, which are beautiful goals? Now, a little bit about me. I was a single mom for 10 years. I started working on myself through therapy and coaching, and just really achieving those goals that mattered in my life, which were my business, really healing, um, discovering myself. And it was that self discovery of who Delfina is. And throughout those 10 years, the last 3 years was this urge, this desire to attract the one, realizing, it was cool being single, but now I desire a partner. I desire someone masculine, someone healthy that will ride this beautiful life with me. And right now, there's so many women in that same path, in that same journey, which is so perfect for the program. The women that are coming into Irresistible You are women that are feeling the way I used to feel. So my question to you, because this came up a lot with me, and then also the women that I'm getting on calls with, is, okay, this is the way I'm feeling, but I also have self-doubt. I have this frustration in my heart, seeing that my friends are all married, they're all happy. But I often ask myself, and again, this is where I ask myself, like, okay, what's wrong with me? Not attract love or have the love that my friends have. And this wasn't not in a hateful way. It was just like, I love what they have. With that, I would love for you to give us your expertise of what happens when someone is in that discovery phase, but they have these feelings of, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong?
Well, Delphina, the story that you shared isn't just your story. That's all of our story. At the beginning, we may not really know who we are. And so your story is very similar to my story. Like, what's wrong with me? Why does the same guy keep showing up? Right?
Yes.
What is that story? And through looking at the lens of, at the end of the day, and I'm going to use the word God, and I hope it doesn't trigger anyone
No,
because
please do so. Please do so.
because I but I feel like at the end of the day, when you're looking for love, really what you're looking for is your love towards God. You're searching for God. And so, really, it is a self discovery that you're looking for. You are looking for a partner because partners become our mirrors. The better you understand yourself, the clearer that mirror will end up being for you. Okay. So if you're getting the same guy over and over and over again, and your question is, what's wrong with this picture? That mirror is telling you something, that perhaps you have a block somewhere, that perhaps there's something in you or your past relationships, or even your first relationship, which is with your mom and dad, that those love relationships that we first acquire, because that's where we learn how to fall in love and know what love is, right? So if you've had an abusive mom and dad type relationship, or if they didn't have self-love and they didn't know how to give that to you, now you're going to have sort of a messed up definition of what love might be. And so those relationships keep showing up for you because that is God and the universe's way of telling you, look at this. This is where the issue is. If you can get over this, then we can go to the next phase. Because I feel like at the end of the day, why are we here? We're here in like universal school, the universal school of learning about ourselves and who we truly are, who at the end of the day is God's essence. So that's where we should kind of start. And that's how my journey first started, is looking at the self and seeing those things that you were saying. Yes, I want this. Why am I not having this? If I know it starts with the self, there must be something inside of me that either keeps attracting these kinds of people to me, or doesn't feel the worthiness inside of me to have like that loving ongoing relationship, or perhaps I'm not ready. Like, you see, those are the questions that you need to start getting quiet with the self and asking yourself, and then figuring out where the issues are. I call those your subconscious programs. Of course, unless you get quiet with the self, you're not going to be able to ask those questions or get those answers. And many times I feel like we look to the outside. Like I might call up Delphina and be like, what do you think is my, instead of what do I think is my, right? So getting quiet with the self, asking those questions, and then getting the answers. And once we get those answers, working on those things.
So powerful, so powerful. One of the things that came up for me as you were sharing this is you are the mirror of the people that you are attracting. Um, and I like that. However, what comes up, because I used to attract not the man that I wanted in my life. And I felt like, okay, I'm working on myself. I am in a good place. And would continue asking, what is wrong with me, in a frustrating way? What happens? You feel like you're in a good place, yet you keep attracting not good quality man. What would be the next step for me to dive into?
So you might be doing really well financially, and so your blocks may not be there. You might be doing really well with your health, so your blocks are not there. But if you keep reaching the same guy that's not what you're looking for, then your block is there. And that's where you need to look at. So, kind of what you were saying, like I was doing well in my business and I was healthy and I felt like my life is good as a single person. But every time I went out there to look at love and meet guys, I was attracting the wrong person. So that's where the blocks were. The blocks were in the love department. And so the question that you kept saying, what's wrong with me? That is your first clue, and that there's something wrong there. Like you think there's something wrong with you, right? And if there's something wrong with me, then I'm going to get the wrong people. But if there's something right with me, now I can attract the right people. So then that was your subconscious program, that there's something has to be wrong with you. So you had to go in and take that verbiage, something is wrong with me, and dive into it. Where did that come from? Who gave me that program? Was it my mom? Was it my dad? Was it myself? Was it someone else? And go diving back into your childhood, because usually our subconscious programs are perfected between the ages of 0 to 7, and sometimes up to the age of 12. And as children, we are fully open because we're trying to absorb whatever the environment has for us. And we haven't fully developed conscious thinking, or, what we call beta brainwaves as our adult selves, right? So we're open, we're absorbing everything. And this is why children do imaginary play, because imagination is the doorway to our subconscious. So as children, we're getting these programs. And let's say if your mom walked by and said something like, Delphina, what's wrong with you? Why do you always do that? And then you get the program, there's something wrong with me, right? And now as an adult, 30, 40 years old, you're looking for the one, and you've got this program running in your subconscious, and you're not even conscious of it. See, our subconscious is about 95% of who we are. 5% is our conscious day-to-day thinking mind. So you've got this idea, this goal in mind. I'm going to go out there and meet someone, and that program is running in the background going, but there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you, right? And you're going to attract the wrong person and not even realize why. So let's say if 0 to 7, you've gotten that program. Now you're playing off of that program. You need to first go back in and see, who gave me this program? Where did it even come from? At what age did I have a particular moment when this was programmed in me? And it's not like we're blaming anyone. It's just something that happens, right? And then pull that out, and then we turn it into a positive affirmation. So for example, somebody said, something's wrong with me. Oh yeah, I remember my mom used to say that to me a lot. Probably because she felt that way about herself. You see, sometimes the programs are like generationally handed down.
So you and I talked about the feeling of not feeling enough, and that was my programming. I always felt, and this is my story, that I was never enough for my father. You see?
Yeah, absolutely. And so
And that is what was showing up in my relationships. And
absolutely. I'm
so,
not enough for my first love affair, which is with my, like, a father figure, right?
mhm.
And so you're going to not be enough for all these other men that keep showing up for you. And that's why it doesn't work out. So if that is your program, then you would turn that into, I am enough. And you keep repeating that to yourself, because our belief system is created through what we see, through what we hear, through what we say, through what we feel, through what we think, and then if we write something. And if it's repeated over and over and over again in us, it becomes a belief system. So if you kept telling yourself that I'm not enough, and you felt that way with your parent, and you saw them treating you that way, you see, the program was like really embedded, and you got to go in, pull that out, turn it into an affirmation. And now you have to tell yourself that constantly over and over again. And there's techniques that we can talk about at some point, that how to make it set in where now you have a new belief system.
Well, things that we will be sharing through Irresistible You, with the women that sign up. So I'm excited for that. As you are dating, so if a woman is out dating and it's still not attracting the one, as they're working on themselves, basically taking a step back and reflecting, using that as feedback to say, okay, this is what happened here. What is it that attracted me to that guy or to that man? That's something that I need to still work on. Thinking in a way where giving these women that are listening to us action steps. If this is happening to you, utilize it as feedback, take the notes, and really, really reflect on your life of, where do I need to show up? Where does this area of my life needs love, my attention right now?
Absolutely. And see, you just took away the blame and the hurt and all of those things for the other person. It's almost like this person was gifted to you to come and show you what you need to work on. You took that data, you took that information, you worked on yourself, and hopefully you'll go from this phase of your life into what we call maybe a window into what it could be. In other words, you'll maybe attract, next time you'll meet a person that is very close to what you wanted. There might be a little bit of adjustments needing to be made, but it's not exactly right. That means that's data. I'm getting closer. That means I did the work and now I'm getting closer. And before you know it, the right one is going to come in because you're getting steps closer. But the universe does send new data then when you're seeing new kinds of people.
So
And
true.
when you're seeing, like, wow, yeah, he's the perfect guy. I just wish he had this little bit. And we'll get into the must-haves and the should and the could haves. Like the must-have might be your top 5 things, the non-negotiable stuff, versus stuff that you wish they had, but it's not a deal breaker, right? But let's say this guy walks in and he's got top 4 and he doesn't have that 5th one, and you're like, oh, but I'm getting closer. That's still data, right? That's how you know how you're doing, is based on the people that enter in.
It's all feedback.
Actually, exactly, that's true.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's so beautiful. I feel like this is great as far as the self-awareness. Today we wanted to cover just self-awareness, planting the seed on the single women that are out there thinking, okay, I have the desire in my heart to start attracting the one. So I want to close with this, bringing it back where you started at the beginning of the conversation, sharing the desire is actually a desire to have a relationship with God. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, I feel like we come into this world alone. At the end of the day, we leave this world alone. And so, really, who we need to fall in love with is our own divine, right? Fall in love with who you are first, so then that mirror can show up. If you can't even hang out and love on yourself, why should anyone else? If you don't even like you, why should anybody else? So, really, the relationship needs to be with self first, dating myself, getting to know myself, loving on myself. If let's say I want to go out to a nice meal with a man who just, does a great job of taking care, do I do that on my own too? Or do I just wait for somebody else to come do that for me? Let's say I want to be taken care of. Do I take care of myself too? Or am I waiting for somebody else to come do that for me? So, see, the relationship with self and falling in love with yourself, which is the divine, which is that God piece we were talking about, is the first step and the most important. Because even when you find the man, if you don't do that for yourself, there's going to be friction and loss as you go into this relationship because the focus is outward and not inward.
The first time that you and I met, you mentioned about really believing that God is within you. He doesn't live outside of us. He doesn't live in, sky. He lives inside of us. And therefore asking yourself when you go out or when you do certain things, would I treat God this way? Which is ourselves, right? I would love for you to close with that.
Absolutely. This is also the answer to your worthiness. I feel like God gave us his spirit and gave us this body, and therefore he found us worthy of having this life. And if he finds us worthy of having this life and living within us, and I don't think of God as some, man in the sky or whatever. I think of God as divine energy, energy that makes my hand move, makes me talk to you right now. So if God found me worthy enough to inhabit this form and come out here and have this experience, then I must be worthy. And so when I look into the mirror and I look at my face, I should not be saying things like, I'm ugly, look at how fat you are, because in essence, you're saying that to God, right? And so experiencing life that way instead of feeling small and like as if we're disconnected from God. So that brings about the feelings of worthiness, but also who we truly are. And so, does God deserve love? God is love. Of course, God deserves love. But when you see yourself as separate, as if you're this little person and God's out there kind of chastising you or whatever, you might say, I don't deserve love because it's not coming. But that's because the perspective is wrong. We're not coming from the perspective of the divine, which is within us.
Man, that's so powerful. And I feel like that on its own, it's a huge transformation. It's a huge shift, just what you shared. You know,
If you
I
just,
knew like I that, but when I heard it from you, for some reason it hit different, and it gave me and it got me emotional. It still does, because it just, I am very proud of my journey, right? The ups and the downs and everything in between. But as I mentioned to you, my my struggle was not feeling enough, and therefore I was not worthy. But if I had that belief of what you just said, things would have been so different, knowing that I am worthy. I am worthy because he's in within me.
and that just meditating on that, the divine lives within me. Therefore, I am worthy because the divine is worthy. Look at all everything that he's made is for me, for my eyes to see. Everything that comes into my life is mine. He sent that for me. Therefore, that means I am worthy because he gave me this life. If I was not worthy, I would not be the one that was picked to come over here. Would have been some other child, right? And therefore, seeing it from that perspective, that you are loved, that you were gifted this thing, that you are worthy, then the conversation and the mind shifts. And then when, like I said, when you see yourself, as soon as you come to say something negative, you can't, because it's like saying it to God. And then when you attract someone who comes and treats God with disrespect, which is you,
Mm.
you say to yourself, I'm sorry, this isn't the right relationship. Much faster than when you feel like you're not worthy, when you feel like, yeah, go ahead and treat me bad. Who cares? I'm happy I even have this relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
Much different than, nope, this is the divine sitting here. Let me step back a little bit from the Dr. Zoha and let me see, push the divine forward, right? If somebody says you're worthless, you say, I'm sorry, you've got the wrong person, friend. You're fat. Oh, well then I know you didn't just talk to, you won't say that to them, but in your head you're thinking those things. You
Yeah,
call God fat, and then you push them away. You wait
yeah.
for a different kind of relationship to enter in. And when that person walks in and they treat you with love, you're like, oh yes, right person, because I know God, the God within me, the divine, that's the kind of relationship and love that it deserves.
Mm.
And then eventually it will merge into who you are, because sometimes our subconscious, the conscious mind is slow to catch up to the subconscious. You see, the conscious mind is here to protect us, and that's why it has these weird programming. No, 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 don't do that. Oh no, you're not worthy, right? It's saying those things because it thinks it's protecting us. But once the subconscious starts pushing forward with new programming, even the conscious mind will start jumping in and following along and saying, yes, now I understand what you're doing. Yes, wrong guy, let's push him away. Right guy, right? And it'll kind of where you are now. Because over time, your subconscious caught up to your conscious mind. You're like, this is the relationship I deserve. And so those old programs of I'm small, I'm disconnected, I'm not worthy, and all the things we were programmed with are being removed.
So powerful. Well, well, that's a wrap. So powerful, and I am sure so many women are gonna find value, and they're gonna feel some sort of way to start taking action towards attracting the one, but in a way that they stop the self-doubt of what's wrong with me, and more of I am worthy. This
I
is
am
just a
divine.
journey, and I'm gonna enjoy this journey.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was fun chatting with you.
Yeah.